Good morning, and welcome to Dualitea. I'm your host, Ash, and I'm here with Third Eye Child and Steve. Thank you so much for being here today. Shout out to all the July 5ths in the building, congregating, connecting, and doing what we do, showing up late a little bit, but right on time, time. You know what I'm saying? This morning, I'm like, I had a thought to myself yesterday. I was like, well, if I'm about to have a podcast with two other people who have the same birthday as me, I should probably let everybody know to be here 10 minutes before we're actually supposed to be here, just so that it sits in nice. And it worked out pretty great. We all got here at the same time. So shout out to that and for being self-aware in that way. I have most of my clock set forward so that I can have that like pep in my step. Like once I get in my car, I'm like, I pretend like I don't know that that's the time in advance, so I could just get there with a little bit of time and have that cushion. It's like some days I'll be early though.
Yeah.
And like, how is that for you guys? Is it sometimes that you're early, sometimes you're on time, sometimes you're very late? Like, how is that in your guys' experience?
I can definitely relate. Sometimes I'm like, all right, let me just be responsible today. Arrive 10 minutes early and do what I have to do. And sometimes I'm like, all right, if I leave right now, I can make a left, make a right, speed a little bit, and get there just on time. So it's very mood dependent.
Absolutely.
Very mood dependent.
I didn't even associate it in that way, but that's so true.
Yeah, facts. Like there's like even when the clock goes off and you're like and you wake up, you can still just be like, all right, well, let me see what Twitter is saying. Let me just see what let me see what's going on. And you're like, oh wait, it's 8:30. Oh shoot.
Yeah, I can definitely relate.
Wait, that's cool. Can you do me a favor? Could you tighten that on the side? Yeah, team effort.
Got you. How's that?
That's good. That's good for you. Is that too close?
There you go.
All right.
No, this is good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool.
Dope.
But so what's up? How was your morning, guys?
My morning was great. Woke up, did some yoga, stretched out, ate a good breakfast, and now I'm here. So my morning's going great so far, thank God.
That's a fact.
How about you?
Oh man, I was actually reflecting on like what was going on yesterday. Like I don't mean to like bring it to like a negative topic, but there was like just a lot of things to take in yesterday, just seeing on the news and whatnot. So like this morning I went outside, I walked my dog, and like I just sat down, just like breathed a little bit, because I felt like that was just needed, just to like clear my energy, set my intentions right.
For sure.
And then then you just had that extra step, and then I knew we were doing this today, so I was just like, oh yeah, we're moving forward, we're doing things good,
Absolutely.
we're communicating, we're with our community, so yeah.
And
what about you?
You don't ever have to apologize, for bringing up things, because at the end of the day, like, there are things that I feel like it's much better to acknowledge the reality of what's going on in life, you know what I mean? Because it's like for us to like skip and hop over things that are like heavier, it doesn't leave space for us to actually like sit with them, you know what I mean? So then we're all kind of suffering in silence, So even just acknowledging, we are having a podcast the day after like major tragedy is happening. So just want to take that moment, to like put those prayers out to those families and anybody that was affected by it. Not only the events that happened yesterday, but within this week, like alone, and any of the events that we're not aware of, just putting those prayers out to whoever needs them in a good way like that, So thank you for acknowledging and having the courage to bring up something that is heavy. And also doing it in a graceful way and a not so heavy way. So
I appreciate
it's important. It's important.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think that, before because I'm about to get into the whole thing, so I'll talk about my morning real quick. I woke up this morning and I felt good. Physically, I started my cycle, so I was just like, okay, word, like we're here. And I was like, okay, I'm in a lot of physical pain, but I feel like really good, and I felt really good last night. I went to the gym. I was with my sis. Shout out to Lori. We were in the gym, just chilling. Not just chilling. We were working. But, and that felt really good to get into that and just, bring some physical movement into my body after a period of time that I felt like I've been stagnant. So that felt really good for me. And that waking up today, I felt the difference of that. So I felt my energy up. In the morning, I usually, want to just go back to sleep. I have no problem with just staying asleep. Once I'm up. But, it's the initial, getting out of bed, because I could easily go to sleep, at any point of the day.
Right.
Even if I'm not tired, I could just, oh, okay. I could just go to sleep.
Once you lay in that bed, it's over.
Yeah, once I get into a nook, I was always the baby sleeping on all the jackets at the family parties. That was me. I was always the baby. So, I don't know. Sleeping's also been like a very big coping mechanism in my life. So if I'm like stressed out or something's going on in my life, like I could just go to sleep.
Right.
So it's comfort. You know, I find comfort in sleep. I find comfort in dreams. I find comfort in that. You know, so to wake up this morning and I had an early alarm, so I did hit that one and I did go back to sleep for a little bit, but I was able to wake up and feel good off the rip rather than just kind of feeling that lingering like, oh, I don't want, like I was like, nah, I want to get up. I'm excited for today. I'm excited for this podcast. So that's how my morning went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like what happened with everyone that's here today, you know, like you just had that extra like, oh, you know, something to look forward to today.
And then such a beautiful day too. Like once I got in my car, once I walked out to go bring everything to my car, I was like, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful day. Not too humid, like really sunny, like nice out. So that's beautiful. I'm grateful for that. Grateful for the good weather too. Like, you know, we're in New York, so very, very up and down, very back and forth, you know. It's like, I feel like I thought I was moody, but then, you know, I start paying attention to New York weather. It's a whole other type of moody. But yeah, so as a July 5th human being, as we all are, right? So just to clarify, everybody who's tuning into this podcast, we all have the same birthday. Birthday is July 5th. Right? We find it out in all different ways. It was interesting how we found out. You had pulled up to a moon ceremony. If you don't mind me asking, how did you hear about the moon ceremony?
Emilio.
Oh.
Yeah, I met Emilio.
Yeah.
I met Emilio 24 hours before the moon ceremony.
Oh, yes.
We got into some deep conversations. And he said, you know, yeah, I'm hosting a full moon ceremony tomorrow. I said, what? I'm there. And then that's where I met you.
That was in what, 2017? Or 2018?
17.
Yeah.
I want to say it was before 18, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then we had the moon ceremony, and then after, you and I were talking in front.
Yeah.
And I forgot, you said something or this, I was like, oh, what's your sign? And you're like, Cancer. And I was like, I felt inclined to ask you your birthday. Or you asked me my birthday. I don't remember exactly how it went, but we were in the front like, what? And then we started connecting other dots and realizing how we knew different people, and then we're just like, wow, this is crazy, you know. And that was like, I remember meeting you at that time in my life was like very significant for a lot of other things too, and not just like, the universe is interesting when I find that when I've met other people with our birthday, but like, and it's always been at significant times, unless it's somebody I already knew, and then like I found out that we had the same birthday because like Facebook or something. I'm like, oh, that's crazy, I didn't even know that, you know. But people that I've like consciously met with our birthday, it's usually at really significant times. And I feel like when I met you was like a time that I was like, the universe was really pulling me back into myself. So it's like meeting you was a reflection of that, right? Like, okay, I need to start focusing in on myself again, because I was like really outside focused on like other things and other people and other stuff. You know
that was a moment for me too, because I come from a background where I always felt like on Staten Island I didn't have this community of people that I was able to connect with on a spiritual level and talk about certain topics and do certain things with. So when I found, you know, that full moon ceremony at Zen Trading Post, I was like, whoa, I was blown away, you know, just by the energy and to have that space, right, where I can relate to the people there, and immediately I related to the people there. And it felt like home in a sense, right? Immediately, like, oh my God, this is dope that this exists, because I was searching for it for many years living on Staten Island.
Yeah.
So that was dope. When you know, coming to that day, that was fire.
Shout out to that. Like, you just saying that is like, you know, my prayer being filled in a really big way. Like, the whole reason I came back to Staten Island was to provide that, you know. Right. I moved to Colombia and I was like, I'm not trying to come back. Like, I'm just gonna stay out here. And I've meditated, and Spirit told me that I needed to come out to Staten Island and help cultivate literally just that, you know. And at the time I was super shy, and I'm like, what do you mean me?
Yeah.
Like, me? Like, I have to do this? That's a huge role. And it's, like, Spirit
You've
was
grown.
like,
You've grown tremendously since then. So shout out to you.
Shout out to you too. So it's same. It's a beautiful journey watching each other grow and to see that, and like really grateful to have met you and like to continue our friendship in that way. It's really beautiful, and it's been so awesome to meet you and new friend here, like new face. Like,
awesome to meet you too, man. Even though we just met, like it's like you said something like it was significant to meet. Like, and that happened with us, but like even though that just happened with us, it is still significant because the first time we met is on this podcast.
So like, we just met.
I know, and I can already tell. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This whole podcast, it makes sense.
Yeah, like once we met at Lori's event.
Yeah, Lori's event here, next door at she had an event going on. It was like a paint and puff type of thing. It was fun. You know, I was with my friend Rangel, and I was just getting a feel for the room. Everyone was kind to themselves. I'm like, all right, yeah, let me just kick it with my friend. So we're painting, you know, we're chatting it up, we're laughing. I'm telling him what I want to do, you know, here in Staten, and then, you know, he's reciprocating that back. And then I remember you, as I was like finishing up my painting, you pulled up. You're like, oh, I love that painting. I'm like, oh, thank you. And, you know, and like, we, you know, as cancers, we're just like, oh, that means a lot. And then you keep pushing, you know, like, so then like it was dying down, and I was asking Lori, you know, because she was cleaning up, you know, I was like, oh, you need help with anything? And then like I saw you were just hanging back. So then we just somehow started talking, you know.
It's funny because like, so in my perspective, I'm chilling, and I like just finished my paint, and like, you know, I don't really smoke like that, so I was like really, really high, and I was just like, I was just kind of like, I was like zoning in, you know, and like really feeling that cannabis medicine in that way. And like I turned and I looked and I seen your painted, and I was like, yo, what is that geometrical stuff over there? I was like, yo, what is that? And I was just like, I literally like went like that, and I looked, and I was like, nah, I gotta get closer. And I'm like, all right, but I'm like, how do I communicate right now?
Yeah.
You know, I
No,
got up, I walked over
that's
to
a
you,
fact.
and I was
When we were
like,
talking-
yo, what? And then you
Right.
flipped it, because I was looking at it upside down, because I would. And I was just like, oh my God, this is everything. And then he flipped it. I seen that there's a whole detailed samurai in this painting. And I'm like, yo, what? Wait, hold on. It got better? But wait, there's more? Like,
Thank you.
yeah, and it's really dope. And then once we, like, you, like, swung around the bend, I think y'all were leaving. And then we both were like, wait. Like, we need to have a conversation, you know? And that was pretty cool. And we just started talking.
Yeah, and it was just one of those moments where I feel like, just like from hearing you guys talk about having that experience, it was like the same thing where it's just like, oh, wait, that spark of just like that connection that you don't usually get. And then like, we didn't even start talking about like the signs until we got deep into that convo. And it's like, wait, what sign are you? Or was it Lori that brought it up? Was Lori was like...
No, she wasn't there yet.
Oh, okay.
She didn't enter the conversation until we like... We're like, yo, you
Yeah,
and I were like,
right.
we're July 5th and we're Colombian. What? How did this just happen?
Right. And she's like, oh, yeah, I knew you two guys would link up. I knew you two guys would meet. That was a really cool moment. And then obviously, like, from there on, it was just dope just seeing us, like, just link up at certain events. And it's just like, yeah, it's making sense now.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And, like, the same thing kind of happening, like, realizing how we know people in the same circle.
Yeah,
and, like, it's also from very separate, like, parts of life, too. It's very interesting. It's so interesting how, like, I kind of had the same experience with the both of you, where it's like we know certain people that are still in our lives, and then we also know people that aren't in our lives anymore for different reasons, or who are in our lives or like maybe at a distance, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is, like it's just like people that were like very significant, particularly in my life, that I will say for the both of you guys. Like there's, you know, people that both of you guys know that were very significant to me that, you know, so it's interesting. It was just very interesting how I met y'all, and then like it was just like, you know, and then we have the connection of our birthday and just like the energy. And it's really cool because it's like, it goes to show like when you meet people, you gravitate towards certain people for certain reasons, you know, whether that's your astrological twin or whether that's, you know, y'all just have chemistry on some kind of plane, whether, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be, I mean, it probably will boil down to astrology, but it doesn't have to be if that's not your thing, right? So it could be like you think the same or you think similarly or whatever the case is, you know, but there's a pull, like a magnetic pull, you know, with different people. And it's really cool to watch how that plays out and like the reasons why. And, you know, sometimes the pull is like really positive and it's like something that's like super good for you. And then sometimes it's not, you know, sometimes you have a magnetic pull to like some kind of trauma bond too, you know, so it's interesting. I really appreciate, and now I feel like I'm really identifying, noticing the difference when it's a pull for that, like in that uplifting way.
Right.
Yeah.
The discernment.
The
to
discernment.
Be able to decide, okay, is this person really making me a better version of me?
Yes.
Or are they making me a worse version of me?
Yes.
And that skill can practice the more you meet people. So as you get older, you should be able to develop that discernment a little quicker, a little snappier. Now I'm 28 now. Now I feel like just spending an hour with somebody, I can pretty much discern, will this person make me a better version of myself, or will they make me a worse version?
Wow.
And then I just use that as my discernment, and then I act on it. And then it's like, oh yeah, they're making me a better version of me. I need them around me as often as I possibly can, and let's walk towards the better version of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And now as I do that in more numbers, it's crazy what can be accomplished, you know, as long as people's goals and values and principles are aligned, because that's pretty much my discernment. Like
that's like your template. Yeah.
Criteria.
That's
like,
really cool.
Do they align with, you know, what I'm trying to accomplish in this life? Just simply be a better me than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Just wake up and be a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been good. I've been proud of myself. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
You know? And then as I get better at it, the people are coming in more in numbers too. Like as I'm locking in on that, like I'm starting to realize the people that aren't making me better are just like disappearing. They're just like falling out into the cracks. Like
absolutely. It's just like you don't even have to do nothing.
Right.
You know? And it's like there's something that my homeboy always talks about is like it's the Tao. You know, there's this whole philosophy. And if anybody listening, or if y'all ever want to look into that, it's like you don't even have to do anything. It's like the power in non-action, right? Where it's like you notice and you're doing by internally noticing and doing. And within that, you don't have to physically do anything. Right. You know, sometimes you do, obviously, but if it organically kind of presents itself, you don't have to go out of your way to force something. Right. And like that's something that's been like a really like prevalent thing in like theme in my reality right now. It's just like allowing, you know, allowing the flow of things.
Surrendering.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm good on that, because any energy you put towards that, it's just gonna amplify.
It just feeds it.
It's just gonna
exactly.
It's just gonna amplify.
Right.
So like you said, you don't do anything. You actually step back, make a U-turn. You know what I mean? And continue to walk the way you were supposed to walk, the way the universe tells you to walk.
Right.
You know?
And like the universe kind of lets you know too, like with the experiences that you gain, whether they're positive or negative or just however they end up for you, you kind of like learn from that. And then like you were talking about just the experience, and when you interact with people, you get this feeling where it's just like, oh, is this a bad thing? Even though I'm getting a good vibe, is this a bad thing? Because I've seen deception, you know, I've seen, you know, when people who are speaking to me, they don't even believe themselves, you know, or they're trying to convince themselves of a certain like conviction and intention. And, you know, like it's just a learning process. And that just makes me want to just, like you said, just be the better version of yourself, just because like, you know, that's just good for your health.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And ultimately that's the priority.
Yeah.
Your health. You know, your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health is the priority above all. And then all the other people should be helping that, right? Should be helping uplift those things, right? And you should be uplifting them. It just becomes this ping pong of goodness, whereas some people fall into the opposite, right? Some people having bad habits, and the people around them are igniting those bad habits, whether drug use or just eating behavior.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's the vibrational frequency. It's just that if I'm not putting my mental health as a priority and my physical health, so I don't really care about it. So that's the frequency I'm rocking with.
Yeah.
I don't care. Therefore, the people around me is not going to care. Therefore, it's strength in numbers. So now, as a group, as a unit, we're not going to really care about those things. Therefore, we're not moving towards a common goal of bettering ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I try to simplify it like that on the second-to-second basis.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, you know, I might look at the next 10 minutes of my life and go, what the hell can I do for the next 10 minutes of my life to make my environment better for me and everyone in this facility, everyone that's around me, you know, just on a small basis, because then those add up. Those are compound effects. You do that for a year, and you look back and, you know, what you've accomplished and what you've done in a year, it's crazy.
It's really beautiful too, because that whole like algorithm is really good to kind of offset overwhelm when you're focusing on the little time periods, rather than, okay, what am I going to do today? What if I'm overwhelmed with my whole day? Okay, what am I going to do in an hour? Maybe I'm overwhelmed in an hour. What am I going to do in this moment right now? You know, what am I doing next 5 minutes, next 7 minutes? You know, it's like, so doing that, that's that, you know.
Yeah, it's anxiety. People, you know, I feel like people struggle with anxiety now more than they ever have.
Absolutely.
Depression and anxiety is at an all-time high, in my opinion, just based off my 28 years of existence.
Yeah.
I've just seen an all-time high of people that are depressed and have anxiety.
Well, they're open to it now, right?
Well, I think it's based off what you said, just not being able to simplify and break down what can I do right now in this present moment, right, to maintain peace. You know,
also giving the added pressure of everything that's going on in society in the past 2 years has been super amplified. I mean,
coronavirus, World War III doesn't help.
Definitely doesn't.
Doesn't help all the external things, but that's external. You know, that's external. As long as we look here, we'll be good. They can't
Yeah.
take this.
Yeah.
They can't
Right.
take this whole area.
And that just comes with learning, like, that you can't control anything. I mean,
Right.
that's what my mom always tried to tell me. I'm like, no, I have to do.
Power in that.
Yeah.
That's a powerful statement from Mama Dude.
Right.
You know?
Right.
There's a lot of power in that. You know?
Absolutely.
I have a very stoic mind state of looking at things, and the idea of stoicism is to really focus on anything you can control and disregard everything you can't control. Right? Put all your energy on the things you can control and attack it full force.
Yeah.
And that leaves no energy left for the things you can't control. I don't even have energy to entertain those things because I'm so focused on what can I do.
Right.
You know. So yeah.
That's a good system. Yeah.
It's an operating system, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just an operating system.
Yeah.
And then whatever comes your way, like that, like, you know, like,
Yeah, I battle
you,
it.
yeah.
With
Well, I
that.
mean, you leave that open
Yeah.
because you already gave, like you said, you just gave that energy to whatever you had to do in that moment.
Everything
Even
else.
if it wasn't the right move for you, it was the right move in a way, you
Yes,
know?
sir. Yes, sir.
That's a
Hell
fact.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
So question, y'all.
What's up?
What has it been like on your birthdays? How do you celebrate or not celebrate your birthdays? How is your birthday? How does that normally, like, what do y'all do about it?
I don't know. Like, my family's, like, they're into, like, parties and celebration. So, like, and I moved out of my house when I was 18. So, now that I'm about to turn 21, it's always just been like, oh, I haven't been, like, kind of, like, by myself. I always, like, either celebrate with my family or my friends. So now it's like, like, maybe I should experiment. So, like, I think last year I just did nothing. Like, I just had a time just to, like, chill. You know, my parents, you know, they wanted me to, like, oh, you know, you should do this, you should do that. I'm like, no, I want to chill on my porch, and I just want to, like, appreciate that I'm alive. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, you know, that celebration, you know, even though it's good and it's, like, for everybody, and that's what you kind of want to, it's not just about you. But, like, it's okay when it's just, like, now about the flash.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, it's interesting because we're the day after the 4th of July, so
Mm-hmm.
4th of July is lit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah.
So everyone's trying to have a barbecue. Everyone's trying to light some things up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really my personality to begin with. I'm not really into the partying and the blowing things up type of vibrations. So I just kind of be there, you know, you're gonna, and it's your birthday at midnight.
Yeah.
So everyone, you know, sometimes you get the, oh, it's your birthday, right? Oh, man, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Literally,
But
yeah.
as far as like the actual day of my birthday, you know, I always try to chill. You know, I always just try to chill. I don't want to do too much. I just, you know, my parents make it a point to, you know, do the birthday cake thing.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's dope because it's love. It's a tremendous amount of just love beaming through the room, right? When your parents are wishing you a happy birthday.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing to have parents that are present and,
Yeah.
and to want to do those things for you. So, yeah, but I'm always on that. I've always been on that energy of like, yo, I just want to, let me just relax. I ain't trying to, you know, go crazy. It's another year, you know, we're moving up. We're moving up. And you said you're about to be 21?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were about to enter a cool decade.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 20 to 30, I always call it the defining decade. It really just defines where we're going, what journey we're choosing to take in life. So, yeah, that's dope that you're answering that, you know.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up soon, so.
It definitely is. It's coming up real quick this year, I feel
flying.
like. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, oh my goodness. Like, a few people asked me, you know, what are you doing for your birthday? And I'm like, what day is it? I'm like, oh, it's like in the May already? Like,
Yeah.
I thought May just started. That's crazy. You know, like, for me, I relate to the both of you guys, like, in different ways. And, like, for me, for my birthday, you know, also because July 5th, right, you know, day after 4th of July, when I was younger, it was always, like, this, like, I would have or want to have a party because that's what I thought you should have because, you know, you grow up and, like, you send out the invitations in your class, you know, like, whatever the case is. But, like, I always had the reoccurring theme of, like, not a lot of people being able to come to my parties because, you know, either their parents are hungover, no one wants to drive them, or, and then when I got older, it was more so, like, everybody's hungover, nobody really wants to do it, you know what I mean? And so I didn't, like, I had to go through this kind of process. Also, like, on an astrological note, I have a Libra moon, so kind of just to put, like, you know, my mental and, like, the way I emotionally process also into our, because, you know, we're all July 5th, but we all have our unique charts, right? So my Libra moon is very, like, people-pleasing. Something I had to deal with in my life is, like, finding the balance and also looking at every single point of view. So I was always very accommodating. And I realized, like, I wanted to have a party because I thought I wanted to have a party, but really I wanted to have a party for other people. And then once I started, like, sitting with that and, like, you know, it hurts your feelings when you don't have people show up to your party, right? So, like, I had that experience over and over again. And then, but that was really, once again, the universe, whether I knew it, whether it was me when I was younger to teenage years, like, it was that kind of light being shown on me, like, well, what do you want to do to celebrate your birth? Like, what do you want to do to celebrate your life? Like, how are you celebrating your life? You know, but I didn't get the message. I, like swiped the message off many times for many years, you know, and then I would just, you know, like you was talking about, like, hop on the curtails of the 4th of July. But then I think 4th of July, once everyone would be, like, lit and be like, oh, yeah, it's your birthday. I'm like, oh, God. Like, now all the attention's on me. Like, oh, no. Like, I'm at this party and now all the attention's on me. I did not prepare for this, you know. Like, that's why I went to some random party because I didn't expect, you know, whatever the case was. And I'd say 2020 was, like, the first year that I really, really took matters into my own hands and, like, and worked with what I can control, right? So the year before that and the few other years before that, it's like I always had, like, this expectation or this hope. And I guess it was, like, almost like an external thing, like, all right, well, what's going to be set up for me, right? And then 2020, I'm like, well, what am I going to set up for myself? Right? And in 2020, I booked an Airbnb at this treehouse upstate by myself.
That's lit.
Had a ceremony. Like, I gave myself the amount of attention and nurture and care. And, like, when I tell you, when I sat with this, like, with this medicine, this space, and the land, and just, like, saying to the land, I built a fire on my own. I got lost in the woods. I found myself in the woods. Like, that's so crazy. Many very, like, very deep things happened for me. And then by the end of the night, there was, like, this swing set. And I was just swinging on the swing set like a little kid, like, just so much joy. And, like, I was so grateful that I gave myself that experience. I was like, yo, I really love me. Like, I did a video blog. I've been debating on, like, releasing it, like, for a long time, well, 2 years. But it's, like, very, very vulnerable and intimate in my brain. Like, not that this isn't, because this certainly is, but, you know, like, now you're adding psilocybin, so it's, like, really, like, you know, a whole other lens. And I talk about some topics, so I might just put it out. I might just chop it up a little bit, but knowing me, I don't chop it up. I just usually post things as is, just like this podcast, you know, because the perfectionistic tendencies will come in and it'll never come out.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like that, you know, and then last year was the complete opposite of that. You know, last year, Kenny was like, yo, like, you gonna do a party here? And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you should celebrate your life here. Like, do that. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I might. And it was like the first year that I really felt like I had such incredible, solid friends around me. And last year, like, my birthday party was the best birthday party, like, I ever could imagine and give myself. And I didn't even know I wanted it anymore. But that's usually how it happens. You know, like, when you're like, okay, with whatever happens, that's usually when you get exactly what that part, like, my inner child was so nourished in that party. You know, it was an anime party. Like, it was really dope. Like, it was so cool. And, like, there was, like, a jar for if you wanted to set, because it was a new moon. So it was, like, last year on our birthday. So I was like, if you want to set an intention, or a full moon. I might have been a full moon. Either way, it was one of them. And, like, there was a jar there in dissolvable paper. So you wrote and then you put it into the water. So it was cool. It was, like, a little bit for everybody. You know, there was food. Like, shout out to Lori and shout out to, you know, all the girls, like, and all the people in general that helped set it up, to Kenny and everybody. Like, that was so, so, so nourishing, and I'm so grateful for it. But, like, coming on this year, I'm like, I don't even know, because I had two extremes, you know what I mean? Like, I was by myself. And then last year, I was, like, you know, everybody. Like, and it was pouring that night, too. Like, it was, like, pouring. It was, like, a storm. Everyone showed up. And, like, everyone was supposed to be. So it was really cool.
You brought up when you were by yourself, you had this immense moments of joy. And I just think it's important that you take that with you everywhere you go. You know, that moment, that feeling, we just carry that thing in a bag.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So now through any birthday, you can reflect and go, yeah, you know, I remember when I actually nourished myself and I had these feelings, these emotions of joy. Yeah, that's like in your cookie jar. You know, you can just when things are going a little haywire and you have that anxiety, you can just could went to your cookie shop. Like, I went to a treehouse by myself, held it down, swung on a swing set.
Like, oh yeah, it was great.
Use that, use that as a weapon of joy.
Absolutely, and that's so beautiful that like you can go back into those versions of yourself. My elder talks about that a lot. Like when he'll like kind of refer to it in certain things with like with different parts of our lives, whether it's in ceremony or different things. Like you could always go back to this place. You could always go back to this sweat. Like, you could always be there again, like, if you need it. You could always go back to, like, the woods, and you could be there if you need it.
Yeah.
Just go back into your mind, and then you take that and you put it into your heart, and you just kind of, like, place it and, like, ground yourself back in the memories of, like, what you've done rather than navigating off the yearning of what you could have. It's, like, appreciation. It's gratitude. And just using that, like you said, like as a weapon of joy.
Defining yourself, you're defining yourself in those moments. And defining yourself in a positive and uplifting way. The same way we should be positive and uplifting towards each other. We need to be positive and uplifting towards ourselves in those moments of adversity, distraughtness, and the things that we can't control that happens to us, death in the family or anything, that has this feeling, this overwhelming black cloud. We need to go back to those states, that we know we can enter. We know we can be with these moments of joy, these moments of love, these moments of peace. Like, we need to harvest that energy,
Right. Yeah, and you sometimes forget that, like, during the year, and then once it's your birthday, it's like that time of, like, what you guys are talking about, I'm, like, kind of getting, like, reflection, and just, like, looking within and just, like, taking it on, like, wow, like, when I was, like, 20, I was just, like, I was at this point in my life, and I was doing all these types of things, and then, like, I didn't expect it to go and end up in this spot where I'm at now, but, like, you kind of, like, you just appreciate, like, oh, like, remember that time when I did this and that, and then you do that on that same day, and you just kind of, like, take it all in, because, like,
it's gratitude, like you said, appreciation, and gratitude is the key to it all. Like, without gratitude, we're done. We're just going to be looking. We're constantly be searching for answers, searching for
everything outside of ourselves.
Searching, you just forever search, until you come to that, into that alignment of gratitude, and I get the gratitude just looking at the trees, just looking up at the sky, like, just thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm breathing, cool, thank you. That power of a thank you to other human. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Like you can never get enough of that.
Yeah.
We don't run out. We can constantly put that out into the world. That, for everybody from all walks of life, that we encounter, that sense of gratitude to everything.
Absolutely. And it's like sometimes, like, I feel like when we get caught up in, like, the overwhelm and everything, like, everything is, like, outside of ourselves, and then sometimes it's within ourselves too, because we do have overwhelm with things within ourselves. And it's important, I feel like some people have resistance to, like, keywords like gratitude, like meditation, like peace, like sit with that, like be present. It's like generic or corny or whatever it is. Because people have resistance to it because and I think that it comes from a lack of understanding the embodiment of that, and also the saturation of a bunch of people who are saying that without the embodiment of it. So it's like, words are so limiting, right? And the way that, like, some people, it's really up to people growing their discernment, because, like, one person could say the same statement you said and it will not slap because they're not living it, but because you said it and you're living it, that shit slaps. You know what I mean? Like, and I say that, I talked about that a lot with everything. It comes up a lot with my friends in the music industry when I talk about different things. For whatever reason, a few of my friends who are in the music industry will, like, ask me, like, yo, like, what do you think about this song? Like, send me, like, a sample. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, all right, like, are you open to, like, actual criticism? Like, are you open to, like, where are you at with it? Do you want me to just hype you up? Like, because I could tell you the good things. But do you want all, Once I discern, like, how open they are to whatever it is, it's almost like a vibe check in the sense of, like, all right, well, when you were singing about the things you experienced in your life, I was so with you. And then you started talking about money and getting girls and all this stuff, and you lost me because you low-key aren't doing any of those things. Like, you're in a relationship, you have a humble job, like,
no,
it's
a great
like
point. I can relate to that tremendously.
Right.
That music, it's a great point.
It's one thing about talking about it, like, when you're, like, futuring, right? When you're like, oh, okay, I'm manifesting it, like, all this that's coming to me and all this that's that, and, like, the reason why you're saying it, right? if that's aligned, you can do that in a really beautiful way. You can literally design and manifest your entire life and more, with doing that and putting that energy out, right? But when you're just like looking outside, like glorifying just the general things, now it's just the same sound bouncing off of things that's everywhere. So it's not actually permeating.
Yeah.
Well, I think that ties back to like speaking your truth. Even if you're like, if you have like if you're an actor or like, I don't know, like an artist, a musical artist, and you're like in this sort of character type of thing.
Yeah, if it's a concept.
Yeah. Well, then you know that, and it's like
Correct.
you have to keep that in mind. It's like, okay, well, even though this isn't me and this isn't what I'm saying, like I know why I'm doing this.
Right.
It's either just to get
Knowing
paid,
the
feed
intention,
myself,
exactly.
or just to have fun. But I totally relate to that because I think it's almost like whether you receive it or you're giving it to someone else, like that knowledge, that truth. Like some people can't handle that. Some people are not ready for that. And depending on how you're raised and who you're around, you have this kind of like experience. I know I'm speaking from a place as an artist, but like just from just like that self-criticism as well. Like there's a lot of things that key into when you want to let someone know how you actually feel about what they're doing, and like and like that all ties into play, and you just kind of like can't overcomplicate it. I feel like, because I know that's what happens to me. I kind of like overcomplicate it. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to really say to this person. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I don't want to like prevent them like from like keep moving the way they're moving. So like it is just a kind of like, it's almost that check. It's like, well, like how honest you want me to be? Can I let you know something? Like don't take this the wrong way.
Asking consent is a huge thing. It's like asking consent, because then you could literally discern whether that person's actually asking you what they're asking you, or if they're just asking you for something else and they don't know how to put it. Like if somebody's not in a great mindset, and it's like, yo, like straight up, if I'm in a space where I feel like really vulnerable, actually I can't even use myself as an example, because even if I'm very vulnerable, I'm like, not, give it to me straight. I want all of it. Like don't sugarcoat it, you know what I mean? But some people, it's important to know. And I also need to do better with that myself. Actually, now that I'm speaking on it, I could also identify, like, there's sometimes maybe when I'm really overwhelmed with things, right? And it's like, maybe I'm not super open to the criticism in that moment, but I can go back to it when I am. So when I communicate to someone, hey, like, what's your views on this? I'm kind of in a sensitive space. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit, right? When you're in that space, you could just be honest with yourself, get the feedback you need, feel empowered. Then when you feel empowered in that way by being reaffirmed of what you're doing, because when you're constantly a critic in your head, like everything I'm doing isn't good enough, and then someone even puts the inclination of the feeling of that, it could be extremely discouraging, which then counteracts what you're trying to do and even getting feedback. Not that you should base.
To break you down.
Exactly.
If you got a significant other that's telling you, somebody that you allow to come in your circle to, in that vulnerable state of mind, they could break you down with one little criticism.
Because you value what they say.
Yeah, you can say, you ain't shit. Oh, it's over. You just lost a month of your life. A month of depression. Just over, you ain't shit.
Exactly. And it's just about being honest about that, because at the end of the day, everyone's like, well, don't let what other people's words define you. And absolutely, that's the goal. The goal is to define yourself. But we're human. We're having an experience. We're not going to be born with that, like, in the bag. Like, we have to work on that, right? We have to chisel our sculpture and fine tune it and, like, sand it and make it smooth. Like, it's not just going to come out like a work of art. You got to really put that time into molding it.
It never ends.
Yeah, you can always look at art and be like, I'm going to add a little that, a little this. Take that away.
Because even when people, like, put you onto something and you may not realize it or not, but, like, they're like, hey, you need to, you keep in mind this, or like, it's not good the way you're moving, or like you should keep that in mind. At first, you can either just be like, oh, okay, like I'll keep that in mind, or you can be super hesitant and be like, nah, they're crazy, fuck that, like. But then, like you said, that just stays with you, and then you kind of have to have these moments where you're just like, well, let me just check almost like every part of myself and what I'm doing. Like, are they right? Are they valid? Or are they doubting me? And you kind of discern that where, like, there's maybe some truth, because, like, I'm often finding myself in a place, especially now, where it's just like, I understand where you're coming from. You're not wrong with what you're trying to convey, but that's just maybe what I not need. I can't hear that right now. Like, I need to maybe experience it, or I just don't believe that. That's not my truth. And I maybe have to prove you wrong.
Right.
And sometimes you need to hear things to know what you actually want to. Like, it's like, I've been infamous for this. My mom and my sisters can attest. Like, they constantly like, why are you even asking me, right? Because I'll be like, do you like this outfit? Like, should I wear this outfit? And they're like, no. Or like, yes. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, regardless of what they say, I just needed to like say it out loud. And then once, it's like when you flip in a coin, you know what you actually want, right? So when someone's like, nah, I don't like that outfit, you're like, but I do. Like, why would you not like this outfit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like feedback. It's important for us to not like take in feedback entirely, right? Where it's like, where it just goes straight to our heart and then we like take it. It's like, what a grain of salt, you know, or have it like, you know, have the feedback come here and we check it like a file. And then we say thank you and we put it right there, but we don't internalize the feedback. Because no feedback, good feedback, bad feedback can all thrive in different ways. Like when we're getting all the good feedback, now it's validating us. Now we might not validate ourselves as much. When we're getting bad feedback, that could be almost like a self-sabotaging mechanism, survival mechanism that's feeding us invalidating ourselves all the time. So then it's feeding the negative aspect, right? And then the no feedback. I know at times in my life where I'm like, I don't want any feedback. Like I took the comments off my shit. I took, you know, the likes off the thing. Like I want no feedback. I don't want to hear anything, actually. I'm not even trying to do that. But even in that place, it was control. It was a great stepping stool from wanting all of the feedback. But it was the extremes. And now I'm kind of in the place where like, I'll ask for it if I want it. If I don't ask for it, I don't want it. If you give it to me anyway, I understand that's you, and not understanding boundaries or proper like communication tools. And I'm not going to take that to heart. So I'm not going to take it personal. I'm just going to be like, all right, I didn't really ask for that, but cool.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I could definitely relate to that. And it changes, like you said, it's not linear, you know. It's not linear. There's just this flow.
Absolutely.
This flow, this feedback control. Yeah, I could definitely attest to that for sure.
Yeah. Nah, that's really cool. It's like just looking through the different themes and stuff. You know, I asked you guys, what are the themes in your life? And I know you said innovative exploration, and you said service. Yeah. I said embodiment. You know, and if you would have asked me at any other time in my life, I probably would have said death and rebirth. That's what I would have said for sure. I almost had to stop myself from saying that, but I'm like, but there's a part in between that. It's called embodiment. And that's the chapter we're at now. We don't have to just change. You know, we're all born on the 5th, right? So 5 numerology is all about change. You know, the amount of 5s in this day has been absurd. I didn't even intentionally put us on the 55th episode, but yet here we are, right? Because that just happened naturally.
I thought that was
when
I was like, oh, 55th.
You know, it's mad funny because I guess whether it was subconscious or whatever the case was, literally, like, it was, I looked when I was making the flyer, I was like, 54th, 55th, 55th, what? Oh.
25th.
And then exactly, that's where I was going. I'm like, May 25th. Okay, cool. You know, we're here. Yeah, 25th. And then once Charlie, shout out to Charlie being here in the studio. Like once Charlie came into the equation, now it's 5 people in the studio. That's why I turned around when I came back from the makeover. I turned around, I was like, the amount of 5s are ridiculous. And then I just tied my 555 necklace on myself, and I was like, yo. But it's crazy. You know, I know a lot of people, and before we kind of get into you know, the topic of themes, I just want to shine light on this one particular thing because it's something that we were talking about before. I know right now there's like a huge saturation with angel numbers, right? You might call them angel numbers, numerology. Everybody has a necklace that has numbers on it. Everybody's getting tattoos that have it on it. Yeah. And most people aren't really understanding what it means and how much they change, you know. So sometimes we see 111 because we're supposed to like initiate something or, you know, get that affirmation or whatever the case is. And, you know, then you might not see 111 anymore. And then you get 111 and like you're looking at it and that could be reflective of a certain time, which it could be good. And at the end of the day, I don't want to bring down anybody who's making the decisions. You make your decisions and that's incredible. My only intention of speaking on this topic right now is to help share my perspective of what I've learned when it comes to like numerology and seeing these things. And a lot of times when things are trending, a lot of people are working. Whenever we're doing anything, we're alchemizing our life, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. So like when we're fixating on these numbers, I just want to also put a big discernment on 555 and what fives are. I'm talking about fives here a lot, but I'm not doing it lately. We've been born with 5. We will not escape 5 for this lifetime, right? But that's okay, right? Because, 5 is change. We have been born to be afraid of change. When you're a baby, you come out the womb, you're crying because you're like, what is this? I'm not inside a body anymore. I'm crying, change, right? The first experience, we're afraid of change. Now we're like, okay, well, I guess I need to eat. Like, I'm afraid of change. I need to change my diaper. Like, all these different things, like change. And there's these reactions that come to it. Now, because of societal pressure, emotions, things like that, being demonized, crying gets looked at as negative. We associate with change, with crying, negative emotion, which isn't. Doesn't have to be. Change could be really good. Now, as people who are born on the 5th, we innately are going to change every space we walk into, whether we're conscious of it or not. So to identify, and this goes for anybody who was born on the 5th, or if you add up to your numbers on your birthday and it equals to 5, this applies to all of y'all. And then, you get into numerology and like other things, and you might have 5 like your life path. So this will probably apply to you as well. To have a main theme as change, because we have our themes, our main theme. One of the main themes in our lives is going to be change for each of us, and that's something that I've gone back and forth with, struggling with, and it's brought different things out of me, fear-based things, or over-exaggerating things. I went through a big stage of being change, I'm here for change all the time, where I was changing too many things. There was nothing consistent, nothing firm, because everything was changing all the time. I think that there's a lot of power in understanding the medicine of change, and knowing that if you have the awareness that you're going to change something that you're involved in, you can set the intention of how you want it to change, because you're going to change it. If you came on the podcast, right? Somehow it's changing because of the essence of both of you guys on here. You know what I mean? It's going to bring a different essence. Yeah. And and the same thing is everything that we collaborate with, right? Everything that every artist you work with, every business individual, every partnership you go into, every friendship you go into, you're going to invoke change. So it's good to be conscious of it, because something that I know gets to me a lot is that just like we're resistant change, so are people. And we have a lot more experience. I feel like I'm not going to speak for everybody. I think we have a lot of experience in this lifetime with change because of literally how we were born, by design. And it's really important for us not to take it personally, because literally existing before we even say words in a space can cause people to be uncomfortable, because we are changing it vibrationally. You're walking in, you just had yoga, you go into a cafe, people are grumpy because whatever, it's Monday. People might get irritated with the fact that you exist because you're in the space pumping out just did yoga, my cheese. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? To not take that personal. Yeah. To let that feedback sit, even if it's not vocalized. And the same thing goes with you, and same thing goes with me. I'm saying this to you and y'all, and I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that, because a lot of times it's crazy, because even in relationships and friendships, you'll get into arguments, or you go into different experiences, and you notice, I don't know if y'all ever heard this statement, but why are you trying to change me? Or why are you trying to do, right? You know what I mean?
Right, plenty of times.
And the thing is there's been times where I've actively tried to change people. That was in my big codependent space.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm you know what? You're doing great. I see a potential. I can help coach you get there.
Right.
And it's y'all didn't even have a conversation about this, but you had the conversation. You know what? We're going to make this blueprint. I'm your coach now. But then you're not that partner. Then you're not that friend anymore. Then you're not that coworker. Unless you're the boss, then that's right.
Well, that's
what
where blurred lines happen. Unless you're intentful and you say, all right, this is what we are, and we're not this.
Exactly.
But if you don't do that, ooh.
Then it gets wild. Then it gets crazy, and then there's so much because now there's a pressure. Now, whether we realize it or not, we're actually projecting onto that person the way that they could be internalizing it. Is I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, and this person doesn't actually want me. I have to constantly change to do it. At the end of the day, the reality is, especially when it comes to people we date, whoever we date is going to have to consistently change. But the healthy thing is they got to do it for themselves. Period. Like, they got to do it for themselves. The thing that we need to remember is we can't consciously make them our project. We need to just make ourselves our project.
I had to learn that shit the hard way.
Over and over and over again.
It kept punching me in the face until I had to learn the lesson.
Yo,
I'm glad I learned it, but that's real shit right there. I definitely can relate to that fully. And just the idea of what that whole change thing, for sure. Like, my whole life is predicated on change.
Absolutely.
Like, I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly black, you know, really low income, and changed to a predominantly white, very high income, right? And that was a big, whoa, you know, at a young age. That still affects my life to this day. I'm 28. But a lot of everything you just said regarding change, yeah, I can relate to that tremendously. My jobs have changed. You know, my nickname is Steve Jobs to some people because my jobs have changed tremendously throughout the years. Trying to change people, having learned that lesson. Like you said, treating people like a project. Yep. And you're going to change them to become, you know, what you decide is a better version of themselves. How dare you?
It's crazy. It's
very
crazy
narcissistic.
when you actually
Very
separate
narcissistic.
yourself and realize, like, I reflect at different times in my life, different relationships, like in the time that I was in them, where I'm like, yo, I was doing everything. I was so amazing. I was like, what do you mean? I was so emotionally available. I was taking care of them. I was doing all of the things.
And then that feeling of not being good enough comes out.
And yo, and that's the crazy. Yo, it's the crazy thing because it's like, yo, whether, you know, I speak for myself, I didn't realize that I was literally making people or my partners or my friends or my family members or whoever I was interacting with feel like they're not good enough because I was always trying to change them because of how I wanted them to be. Right. And in return, I was feeling like I was not good enough. Like, it's crazy because you didn't see yourself. It's wild. It's wild. And then,
it's wild.
Yo.
It is wild.
It's like a paradox, you know?
Yes,
yeah. And you gotta, like, that's, you mentioned before, you gotta, like, make it clear to them, like, look, this is all I'm trying to do. Like, and I kind of learned, like, especially once, I mean, COVID, you know, like, you kind of had to, like, stay inside, and, like, whoever you were surrounded by, like, those were your day ones. That's who you had to, like, you know, like, make sure y'all were good. And then, like, especially how, you know, like you said, I'll speak for myself, but, like, just by hearing how you guys are talking, I know it's the same way, where it's just, like, you want the best for everybody. You know, that, because, like, your circle's so small that, like, whoever's in it, they're your ride or die. And I make sure everybody knows that with me. So, like, you know, my bros, my cousins, like, they're like, Danny, like, you need to chill. Like, you say, it's just like, I'm sorry, but this is just how I speak to myself. Because and then it goes back to intention and how you speak and, like, how the criticism and, like, you know. Because, like, it is about the self when you're kind of projecting that onto them. Because, like, you have this, like, kind of, like, voice. I don't think of it as, like, a, like, angel, like, devil type of shoulder type of thing. I think it more so just, like, who's speaking to me right now within myself. And, like, a lot of times, like, the loudest one is, like, the one right behind my ear. Just, like, telling me, like, how to act and how to be. And I try to fight that, you know. But then that comes out sometimes when you want to help somebody. So, like, it is definitely just, like, kind of keeping yourself in check. Like, well, am I just saying this for them, for me, how I want to see them, how I want them to react to me, you know? Like, I
think what I've learned is lead by example.
Yeah.
Right? So instead of you, you know, trying to tell somebody, listen, this is what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. No, you just go and do it and let that person see. Because now your actions are going to hit way harder than your words ever will. So you talking about, yo, you got to, you know, you should go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And you need to be going. So I've just been diverting. Instead of projecting myself onto people, I'm trying to figure out, what do I do this morning? Okay, what do I do this afternoon? What do I do this evening? Do I read that book? Do I do this? Now people start to gravitate.
That's embodiment. That's embodiment. That's literally embodiment. Exactly. And it's like, that's so, absolutely. Like, cause what's the word? Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you know,
I love that cliche shit because it's funny. It's cliche, but it's all so truthful.
The older you get, the more you're like, yo, I fucking understand that shit now. You hits. Like, you know what, that your auntie, your uncle, you know, whoever it was that was saying that shit is like, you like, yo.
That cliche shit hits.
It does. It's said for a reason.
Yeah.
It's said for a reason.
It's been said for many years.
And
generations.
The older you get, the more, I mean, you know, I would like to believe everybody's in this way, but like you simplify things more. You're like, yo, like, it's like, why am I carrying, you know, a fraction when I could like kind of, you know, condense it down to like a bigger fraction? Why do I need to carry all these pieces when I carry like 1-2 pieces?
That's definitely where I'm at in life. Simplification. It's definitely where I'm at. What am I trying to do? Okay, what steps do I need to accomplish it? Okay, let's roll. You know, who's down for the cause? Who's down for that? Who's genuinely down to help me achieve these things? How can I help them achieve the things they're trying to achieve? Together, cohesively, making cohesive ideas come to life. And I think I can impact, you know, the world at a greater scale. Because at the end of the day, I'm looking for impact. You know, but you talked about themes. My theme was service,
change.
You know, change.
Yeah, talking impact, change. I love that. Yeah.
My theme was service. So, you know, everything I embody now from work to just living revolves around service, right? I want to serve artists. You know, I started a record label. I manage an artist.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Right.
I want to serve artists full time. I'm a basketball trainer. I have a basketball gym. So I serve kids. You know, I just provide my service. That's it. And that brings me the most joy. So it's simple. What brings me joy? Do that.
Yep.
You know, because at the end of the day, we suffer every day, all day. The morning we wake, to the minute we wake up, the minute we go to sleep, it's a constant adversity, constant suffering. Everything our brain loves to have ourselves suffer. So my goal is to limit that. How do you limit it? What is my antidote? Joy. So whatever the hell brings me joy, I'm running at it full speed.
Yeah.
I'm running at it full speed, and then it spreads. It spreads like wildfire. You know, so I'm trying to do that now in the music realm. Just serve artists and make sure the artists that I'm serving are looking for change.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure they align with what I'm seeking. Service to the people, getting people together on positive vibrations. Because music's the only thing that could really do that. I feel like music is like, you look at like music festivals, like Tomorrowland, EDC, all these music festivals. What else can bring 10,000 people together and have them all smiling and dancing?
Yeah.
Like, there's pretty much nothing else in the entire world that provides that. That can get 10,000 people to leave their house, come into a common space, stare at a stage of a human that made these sounds and vibrations, to just smile and walk out of there like, yo, that was amazing. You know, music's the only thing that accomplishes that. People are sad. What do? They go to Spotify and play their favorite song.
That's true.
You know, music's such a, you know, that's the way, I feel like. And the powers that be, they understand that.
They do.
They have a deep understanding of what music can do, so they tweak it. They go, all right, wait, let me not make sure this mainstream music is out here healing people. Let me make sure it's keeping that song.
And tune that frequency real quick.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, you know, so if I can impact, if I can do what I can do, only what I can do, and whatever scale that goes to, I can't control. I'm just going to do what I can do, and the scale will take care of itself. I want many people I can reach. And I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a consumer of art. Right? I just consume music. I just consume paintings. Right? So with that being said, I come from that perspective. It's changed me. I've felt the impact that a painting has done for me. I felt the impact that a song, an artist has done for me. So now I want to provide that same service to the world. So with that energy, I've met so many people on Staten Island that are just amazing. Amazing artists. We have this island that, you know, and I come from a basketball world. In a basketball world, if you're an amazing basketball player on Staten Island, you leave. You don't play basketball on Staten Island.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
That's just the truth. You leave because there's no real curation. There's no real, I got you. There's no real space out here that says, yo, you're really good at what you do. You can impact. You can inspire kids. I got you. We're gonna uplift. We're gonna elevate. There's a lot of the darkness. A lot of hate. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of division in Staten Island, right? North Shore, South Shore. You know, you're from Long Island, so you're starting. Now you've been here for a couple of years, but this North Shore, South Shore division is crazy. It doesn't even get talked about.
There's even
the
more.
moment I got
there's
here.
even more.
There's
even
more.
more.
Yeah,
There's more.
that's
There's
just
that's just the borough, and then there's the neighborhoods, and then there's the right next to each other. Yeah.
So we got we have amazing artists out here that need to be curated, that need to have a space to exist in, to express themselves and represent. You know, and I hope to try to change, you know, that narrative in any way I possibly can control.
I love that, man. I love that. And if you don't mind, I just want to speak on what you were talking about. You were talking about how, like, just music can do that. Well, I think it's just because it's, like, it's more than one sense. You know, people think music, oh, it's just sound. I'm like, no. When you, especially at a festival. I experienced that, like, I think last year. And that was, like, it's a full-body experience, you know? Because, like, especially with those speakers, you feel like, boom, boom. like whatever, like, and you get the energy from people, you know, and like, you know, there's food, there's drinks, like, you know, you're with your friends, and like, then you see the art, so it's a visual experience. You see the lights, you know, and then like you're jumping up and down, so that's a physical experience. You know, you smell like, you know, just whatever is in the air, you know.
Absolutely.
So like it's just what people have clinged to, I think, for years. It's like it's a very easy.
Look at Woodstock.
Yeah, it's just you can translate that.
Is the perfect,
you can
it's the perfect
example,
absolutely,
you know, of a culture, of a time in culture. You know, today
how it still lives on. People literally travel there,
you know,
just for the essence of it.
Just for the essence, and if you meet those people, you know, you meet those hippies, they're in their 50s, you know, they go, yeah, I was at Woodstock, you know, we mobbed up, we went to Woodstock, and you know, you see their face, you always see their face, their eyes are light up,
they're reliving it,
their eyes light up, you know. So
they're going back to that place within themselves, like you were talking before.
Whether Staten Island needs a music, maybe Staten Island needs a music festival with the essence of Woodstock. Maybe that would be amazing. You know, we could walk towards that goal. But ultimately, I want to start small. You know, with people that want to start small as well, and have an aim and have a goal to go big, to go global.
Can I? Are you open to being challenged?
Challenged?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I believe you're an artist.
Okay.
I believe you're an artist, and I'll leave it in this space, and that I also want to acknowledge everybody in this room for something that just kind of came up as you were speaking. You're an artist of change, and you're an artist of literally of connection, of networking, and you are an artist in other ways, and you know, in many other ways, and you gotta give yourself credit for that. So
that's a fact, man.
Just want to challenge you like that in a good way, you know.
Artist of change is fun. Thank you.
Yo, listen, everybody in this room is an artist of change.
Word.
And the reason why I wanted to acknowledge that, I want to acknowledge each person in this room, because there's something that I noticed while you talking. You're an artist, a literal painting artist. The way I met your art before I met you.
Yeah.
And I met you before I met you through your art. And because you embody what you're painting and what you put together, I was like, who is this person? I resonate with them. You're changing art in that way. You're changing the art community in that way because of the person that you are and what you're putting on paper. You're being honest. You're being vulnerable. You're being true. You're seeing you're probably seeing more so how people could benefit from it more than you.
Yeah.
But, you know, in your growth, and I'm sure you will, and you do give yourself that credit, and, you know, can nourish yourself from that too.
Most definitely. And like, I think she's right, because, you know, I think art and artists, you know, people cling to the word create, and that is an aspect of it. But the literal definition of it in its simplicity is expression, you know, because then, like, you know, you look at someone like Andy Warhol, you know, who like people claim that he copied. But no, he was expressing like a different perspective, his truth. So like, you know, just to attest to that, it's for sure. That's how I embody that. You know, I embody my own expression, because if we're tying it back to like going through our sufferings and our happiness, like that's what I do. You know, I try to find like, but what, and that's why I said I'm like, when you asked me through that group chat, like what's like kind of like the theme, right? It was kind of like innovative, like exploration. Like I'm exploring like my own expression, because we're always changing. So I got to figure out, I'm like, okay, what's resonating with me today? And like, you know, it's crazy that you were mentioning that we need that sort of like thing here, that we need people to like kind of like rise up a little bit and just be like, hey, we're out here and we're doing our thing, you know. And it's crazy, because like if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna just plug what I'm doing right now.
I was just gonna mention it too. Like,
go.
So basically, we've been mentioning her name, but there's a person by the name of Lori Love. You know, she's been in the community for a long time. Shout out Lori. We love you, Lori. She's been, you know, she's done so many things. She's been the catalyst of too many things. She's the reason why we've met.
Never too much.
Right, yeah. No, she's amazing. And you know, I made my intention clear with her. I was just like, hey, like, cuz I'm, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but like I'm about to move in a month. So like, you know, like it was just you know, that's just where my life led me, you know what I mean? So I wanted to almost, you know, I've been out here for 3 years, and I wanted to almost give like a thank you back. but I also wanted to like leave something here for that spawn of inspiration, that spawn of opportunity. So I decided to do this event here at Hub 17 NYC. It's called Forever Staten. And it's an event where, like, whether you're an artist or not, whether you claim to call yourself an artist or not, I should say, everyone's welcome to experience what I consider people who are very good people, who are willing to experience and be a part of that change here in Staten Island. So I invited all my friends. You know, I have a guy from Harlem. I have a bunch of friends here just from different sections of the art community. And I just wanted just the event to say thank you to those people, because they gave me something that, you know, I can't grab with my hand. You know, it was an opportunity. It was a mindset. It was a chance to shine. It was a chance to express myself. And I wanted to do that on a platform that promotes that. And I feel like Staten Island has always been in need of that. You know, there's so much talent here. There's so much expression here. And we need that. Mm-hmm. Because whether you like it or not, you may have this cool idea, but you stop yourself from continuing to do it because of like, oh, I don't have the skills. I don't have the connections. I don't have this. I don't have that. From my experience, it's not making it to the top. Then you start doing that. You know, it's starting from the ground level. It's who you know and who's you trust is willing to execute that with you. And you got to make yourself clear. You got to put yourself on that platform if you have to make that. So, you know, me and Lauren connected, and, you know, she really motivated me to do it because I was a little hesitant. And we came up with that concept, and, you know, it's happening June 9th. So I just wanted to let you, I wanted to let everyone know.
I'll be there.
You know, I thought this was a great platform, especially since that's the topic we're on. And, you know, Ashley, she's going to be a vendor there too, because I definitely, exactly, yeah, that's her expression, you know, that's her creativity. That's how she connects to others and herself and the world. And that's the whole point, you know, like whether it's business or just you have a dope moment with somebody, or you leave something, whether it's just a reading or, you know, basically everyone coming in, there's gonna be a big piece of paper on the wall, and, like, you know, you walk in, you say what's up, and then I just draw you right there, you know, so you'll just have like a portrait that I'm donating a big piece, like this whole piece, to Hub 17. And it's going to basically have everyone there, because, like, you know, everyone who walks in, you know, I want people to recognize, like, oh, like, next time I'm at Hub, like, you'll get to see me on this moment. And, like, hopefully it can be, like, to where I'm like, this is where we started this. This is where I met this person. Like, this is where we got things going. Or, like, this is where, I reconnected with somebody, or, like, I left with something that, like, you know, that made me want to change something about my life, you know, because, like, whether people know it or not, they done that for me. And, like, everyone that's involved in it has done that for me. So I just wanted to, you know, let that out there in the universe and let people know, like, you know, despite me moving, like, I'm still doing things here, and I want to, you know, do it on a bang. And I want to just, yeah, I want to set my intentions right, you know, for sure. So, like, yeah, I appreciate you just saying that, because that inspired me to say that.
It's so incredible. It's so beautiful, because a lot of people, like, come in and out of Staten, or, like, they leave Staten and there's no appreciation for leaving Staten. And you've came here, you've been here for 3 years, and you're like forever Staten. Forever Staten. People are like, they're like, I'm from New York City. I'm not, you know, they don't even mention that they're from Staten.
For 3 years, he said, yo,
forever.
I'm about to draw everybody that pulls
like,
up.
it's like, and this is the reflection of,
appreciate
like, what was coming up when you were speaking before. It was like, everyone in this room, like, shout out to Charlie, shout out to Kenny, you know, for the people off screen, like, everybody in this room is such a pinnacle of doing something in such a beautiful and pure way. The event that y'all curated, like, I low key, I'm not, like, not just because I'm a Cancer, don't hold me, yo, but, like, I was crying, you feel me? But, like, music doesn't affect me always like that. Like, music doesn't always affect me like that. When I was hearing Charlie sing the song that she was singing, Lone Wolf, yo, that song, yeah, like, I felt her whole essence in that. And, like, I was literally standing there, like, like, yo, I feel you. Like, I feel that vibration. And, like, this is so pure, and this is coming from such an incredibly intentional space. The whole show is incredibly intentional. Everything about that. And that was y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was y'all. And that's different for Staten Island. And that's just different for Staten Island. You know what I'm saying? So, like, everything I was doing, the way Kenny pulls up, like the reason I'm speaking on this mic and having this podcast in this space, the reason we're all here is because of Kenny. Yeah. You know what I mean? Creating the hub and like this space for the event that is coming up, for the events that we had, the events that will continue to go on. Kenny providing this space in Staten Island, out of the pureness of his heart, to see other creatives. And whether, you know, Kenny, I hope you identify yourself as an artist, because you absolutely are in so many different ways. And, you know, but some of us don't. It took a long time for me to identify myself as an artist too. You know what I mean? And Kenny's a photographer. He's a man that wears many hats. Usually we all do, right? Just because you do one thing doesn't mean you don't do another thing. There's no coincidence that everybody in this room embodies a certain energy, and each of us are pinnacle, like, and fundamental, like, pillars for change. Not only the microcosm is Staten Island, but it's every person we ever meet, wherever we move, wherever we go, wherever we came from. We will all embody that, and it's really incredible that we're all in this space at this time, and that it all kind of happened. Like, yeah, it's just, I'm so grateful. Like, while you were speaking, like, it like dawned on me. I was like, yo, what? Like, and there's all different kinds of words we can use that. Like, even for myself, like, I do paint, I do a whole bunch of different art. I'm like, but I'm right now, I'm talking on the podcast. Like, that could be a speaking artist. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways to express yourself. My intention for making this podcast, for making this literal one, or just the ones in general, is, you know, how do we find our balance on different topics? You know, it could be called a spiritual podcast, but it's also a lifestyle podcast. Well, it's both, because it's like, we're not just gonna talk about past life regressions the whole time. Even if I have somebody on here that specializes in past life regressions, I'm gonna ask them what cereal they like. You know what I mean? Just because, how do you keep your balance? That's cool. You wanna come here? You wanna wear hats? There's a reason I don't do intros. You don't have to be whatever you write down in a bio, because I don't want you to limit yourself. Yeah. You be whatever essence you organically want to show, you show it up here. Mm-hmm. It's up to you if you want to say whatever you do. You want to do that, absolutely. Acknowledge your credentials. But you don't have to. Your credentials are your vibration, you know, the essence, your resonance. That's your credentials. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we kind of look through life and see that, because so many people, I don't think any of us in this room, but like a lot of people, like, you know, really look at the list. What school they go to, what thing they do, how many experiences that, before they even meet somebody. That's why I hate sending in resumes, especially online. You don't even get to feel my pretty paper. You don't even get to feel all the intention I put into my resume. I even got this off-white textured paper. You can't even touch it. No, I want you to feel it. Same thing with my business cards. I want you to feel it. Here's my business card. You resonate with, here's my podcast. Boom. You feel it? You feel it? You might feel me too when I speak. You know what I mean? It's the intention. It's the detail. Not to get lost in the detail all the time, which I got to ground myself with a lot. You know what I mean? Because we are simplifying. But it's that intention, you know? Be an intentional artist.
And, like, you did that with this podcast, you know what I mean? And, like, you're doing that with everything, like, with your music. And I wish I pulled up to your event, because, like, I heard, and like I said, like, that's how I knew you knew all, like, the people I've worked with and some of my friends. And then I heard she was pulling up. I'm like, damn, like, this, you know, like, I don't know. Like, I think that's good that, like, it's happening. And, like, we need that. I did want to just say, though, I have to use the bathroom real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Honor yourself. Go ahead. You do you. You do you. Yo, shout out to the honesty. You know, we out here live, but we're also regular human beings that have to use the bathroom sometimes. You know what I mean? I started the podcast. I took a bite of the apple. I was like, why the fuck did I do that? I'm about to speak. I had to, like, I was like a chipmunk. Like, but yo, listen, the conversation goes on. Shout out to being honest and real. I'm like, I wanted to talk about the microphone. I seen it. I was like, yo. And then, like, me and Kenny did this telepathy thing, and Kenny came over here.
I was looking at it. I was like, you know,
I know, I was looking at it. You were looking at it. We were looking at each other. I was like, all right. Yeah, because I'm like, I can't even help you. I'm all the way over here. Like, before when it happened to him, I was like, all right, at least, like, I'm just help right now. But, yeah, yo. Nah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when you can go into a space and you can acknowledge each other's vibration. And, like, I think that a lot of times when we resonate with people and it's in this uplifting place, like we get like high off it, right? You know, everybody's like, yo, oh my God, yes, this. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you leave, and then you go back into your life and other things, and you encounter all these other vibrations, and then you're like, wow, like, you know, what do I want around me, you know? And then there's certain things we can't control. We can't control when we're in the car. And, you know, there's other people driving, they're driving crazy and someone's speeding and cutting you off. Someone will say you can't, you know, we can't control that. But how we respond to that, we can control, right? Like, you know, like noticing, okay, I'm not going to let that permeate, that feedback, that's their vibration. Feedback is simply vibration in a big way, right? Like when we're allowing feedback to permeate us, that vibration to permeate us, we're surrendering to either bringing ourselves down, or we're surrendering to bring ourselves up.
And we're creatures of habit.
Mm-hmm.
So if we habitually respond in a manner of, haha, you can't affect me. You know, you cutting me off in this traffic, or, you know, you sticking the middle finger up at me on the highway, doesn't affect me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sorry. And the more I practice that, the easier it's just becoming
the easier it's
responsive.
become. But it's like off the beginning, it wasn't like that.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
no,
off the beginning, it's not like that.
It's practice,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Active practice.
It becomes more habitual. And then you made a good point about being in like certain vibrations when you get this high. You know, to be a concert, or something. You walk out the concert, and you go back to your car, and now you have to drive home.
Yeah, it's like the deflation.
You know? Yeah, the deflation of that energy. But you know, it's also our responsibility to cultivate our own environments for it to trigger us to have positive vibrations. So I'm very meticulous about the way my environment is set up. You know, from my vehicle to my room to my apartment. You know, so I can constantly be triggered in a positive vibrational way. You know. Yeah, then.
What did I miss?
So we're talking about, you want to film it?
Oh, well, we were talking about just positive vibrations in a sense of, she brought up, you know, it's good to enter a room like this when vibrations are high, and then when we walk out of here, we might get deflated. You know, we might be in the sense of like, okay. And I said the importance of controlling your environment after things like this, right? And just having these positive triggers and these positive cues in our lives that keep us, you know, grounded, but also on a positive, you know, on the positive side of the thing.
Yeah.
Not having things around us that can trigger us to, you know, have negative actions or negative decisions and things like that, you know.
100%. I feel that for sure. Yeah, because you can like start off running, you know, with whatever that feeling is.
Yeah.
And then if you don't kind of have like, I'm gonna say if you can have a goal, you can have a dream, you can have a plan, but like if you don't have like, you know, that discipline, and if you don't have that like mindset of just being mindful of your energy, you know, and how you use that, whether that's practicing, whether that's prep, or all that, you know, or having I think what I've learned recently is just having a team, and you know, hopefully being reliant on that team, you know, because it's not always about you. You don't have to be the superstar, you know. You kind of like gotta let other people shine and help you out.
That's a theme that's been coming up like in the past 24 hours. Me and Lori were talking about a bunch of different things, and like how, you know, sometimes people move funny, right? Sometimes people do things and move funny, and like or sometimes we move funny. You know what I mean? All of the things is like either lack of support within ourselves or lack of support within community. Some people have the support within themselves, or think that they have or think that they have a healthy support within themselves, that they don't need support with outside of themselves. Hyper individualism has been like romanticized so much in this world and in this reality that we forgot that we need community, we need tribe, right? Yeah. But then there's people that are actively always seeking tribe, which can like feel like a leech, and then there's people that are completely like not looking for tribe, and they're not open to anything. So there's super open and there's super closed. I feel like that's the majority of people. And then like, because at some point we've all been one of those extremes, right?
Yeah.
And then you find the balance within the middle. Now, especially on Staten Island, touching on topics that we talk about, and like me and Laura were talking about a few different topics, different experiences and things that we've realized, and it's like, this person is having this reaction, or I'm having this reaction because lack of community, right? There's the lack of community. Like, we want a community, and if you don't have it, not everybody can have that community. Let me rephrase that. Not everybody think that they can have that community. So it's really important to do community building things as well. Some people like gravitate towards niche things, and then there's also just like community things. But I've seen nothing on Staten Island that's just like, yo, I'm happy to be from Staten Island and be human. Like, you want to pull up, you know what I mean? And even so, the way that for me the moon meetings have been more in a general area, so that more people can feel inclined to do that, you know. And I think that something that I'm gonna speak in now, because I want to put it into existence, is like finding to have just like a community meeting. And something that I want to just kind of put together and curate, you know, with whoever and whatever resonates, and have that stick. And, you know, it's probably going to be at Hub, and it's probably going to be on a few other places on the island, whether it's like, especially now it's getting nice outside, going to different parts of the island, not just staying in one place, and going to different parts of the island, being like, yo, like, we're having community meetup like weekly, like, yo, like, I'm gonna bring some bowls, or like, we not do bowls, we just have conversations, whatever the case is. It could be whatever, because the community healing kind of it's needed, you know. So like, bridging that gap is so important. And like, if you're not from Staten Island, you know, listening to this podcast, and you're from somewhere else, like, I'm sure your community needs the same thing, and maybe that's you, maybe you're the person who's supposed to go do that. So, you know, sit with that and see how that resonates, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe you know somebody who is, and it's like, maybe you feel inspired, maybe you don't feel like it could be you, but it still is you. Trust me, I didn't think it could be me. I didn't think I would be up on this podcast. There's so many things that I'm doing and I have done that I did not think would be me. I did not think I would do the moon ceremonies the way I've been, and I'm the only person doing them now. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's changing, and everything's changing. So I think that that's something that's just coming up for a lot of people, places, and things. And like, you know, before we end this podcast, I want to just, you know, check in with you guys and see if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about before we conclude. And also just thank you guys so much for being here and being yourselves.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
really grateful.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
It was a pleasure.
It won't be the last time either. I'm sure I'll have y'all on either separate or, you know, whenever it comes, and, you know, we'll be seeing a lot of each other. And, you know, if you guys want to plug in your Instagrams, you're more than welcome.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm Third Eye Child, you know. It's THIRD, 3Y3D, and then Child. It's long, it's annoying, but I like it. But yeah, I'll plug in another thing. So yeah, Forever Staten, that's one thing that we're doing. Also a thing with Lori I'm doing is she's got this mural event going on around Staten Island, since we are talking about community. And, you know, she definitely inspired me, you know, not only directly, just but how she moves, just to, you know, be a part more of the community. And so I'm going to be doing a mural with my friend Rangel. You know, he's another Staten Island, you know, vet. And, you know, we went to school together. He's an illustrator, super talented. And, yeah, we're going to be doing something right there at Richmond Hoodco. So people should pop out May 28th. So that's this Saturday. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, like, I don't know. That's what I got going on.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of things under construction at the moment.
I hear that.
But just stay tuned. Hopefully, everything will come to light in the very near future.
Yeah, for sure. Dope. Thank you guys for being on here. And there's one more thing that either of you would like to read out loud, the peace of mind of the day.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Today is the 25th. I'm saying it to reaffirm myself. All right. Okay.
Are we gonna read which one?
The 25th. Mm-hmm.
We're in March though. Okay, March 25th.
Oh, I just pulled you to the wrong page. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. Yo, you know what's crazy? Actually, I could share with y'all. This book I got from like a thrift shop or somewhere. I forgot where I got it. I might have got it at a yard sale. But all I remember is picking up the book and it was split in half. And it's split in half on our birthday.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The other half is at my house.
Peace of mind, daily meditations for easing stress.
And like literally, because that's only half of the book. The other half is at my house and it's split. The book was split directly on our birthday.
So I'll read the page.
Mm-hmm.
This quote is by Confucius. Shout out to Confucius.
Shout out to Confucius.
Desire to have things done quickly prevents their being done thoroughly. Don't rush. Take your time, patience. Doris Grumbach, an author in her 70s, has several works either in progress or awaiting her decision as to whether they deserve further effort. Yet she doesn't push herself to complete her books. I get a great deal of pleasure out of finishing a work, explains Grumbach. I'm willing to wait. What I care about is the time and thought it takes to produce a book. What projects, tasks, or hobbies do you take pride in because you devote the time necessary to bring quality to their completion? Is the finished product a cause for celebration because you have done the best job possible? Rather than set limits or goals for one of your projects, think instead of the ways you can bring the best quality to the project. Examine what that will take, not in terms of the time it will take, but in terms of expenses, research, your energy, or organization of the project. Then structure your goals for achieving this project to include all of those things, not a timetable. Today, I'll take as much time as I need to bring quality to the things I do. I'll keep in mind that it's quality, not quantity, that will make me the most proud. This I could definitely relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, this book does a thing. And every time, especially whether I do at the moon meetings or at this podcast, I usually wait till the end. Because it'll just like seal off everything we're talking about.
This relates to everything I'm embodying in this present moment.
You know, it's wild. It's wild. Yo, same. And it's just like one of those cliche things, like, you know, be patient. Everything, good things don't happen fast.
Indeed. Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for being here. And shout out to your moms. Shout out to all of our moms for birthing us.
Word.
On July 5th.
Shout out Mama Dukes.
Yeah.
Can I ask what's your mom's like signs?
Taurus.
Taurus. What were yours?
June 17th is
Gemini.
Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my mom's a Scorpio.
Okay.
Pops is a Leo.
Okay, my brother's a Leo.
I got Leo rising. I don't got nobody in my family
Okay.
Leo. Yo, y'all know your charts, your moon risings?
I downloaded that app you told me to download.
I know yours, but I don't know them in order.
You told
I think
me multiple times.
I know. I think I'm like, I know it's Aquarius and Virgo. I just don't know which one.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, essences of your double Cancer, Libra moon.
I can look right now.
Cancer rising, Libra moon. Yeah, well, you know, maybe it's not meant to. It's all right. You don't
Yeah,
gotta do it.
that's true.
Maybe it's not meant to. Y'all don't need to know our exact coordinates of mind.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. I didn't even think
But
about
there's
that.
essences, you know, of the different, you know, placements, not only being July 5th, which is really cool. So thank y'all so much. And thank you all for tuning in and spending your time in your morning, your evening, or whenever this reaches you in a good way. And tune in with us next week. Bye.